How do we recognize evidence-based research and contrast it with fake news? Well, the first thing to do is to develop a critical mindset. Take very little at face value. Be particularly careful when things align with your preconceived opinion. We're all more willing to accept things that we agree with than things that challenge our accepted views. As far as possible, try to check the sources of a story. Be careful when it's published in somewhere that you're not familiar with, and try to follow up the references to make sure that they have been quoted correctly, because often they haven't. I think we now need to be particularly careful because images can be manipulated. Even videos can be manipulated. People can be seen to be saying things that they never did. And above all, use your common sense. There are some people who have very strongly held views, and frankly, nothing we say is going to convince them. Some researchers have talked about having to get messages that actually hit them between the eyes, really get them to sit up and think and challenge their views. But we also need to remember that sometimes messages can backfire. We might be saying something and we're correcting something that is wrong, but the effect of that on the person who's listening to it is that it actually reinforces their view. And it's particularly the case where they can point to links that we might have, for example, funding by the European Commission, if you're virulently opposed to that. Some of the anti-vaccination movements look at funding by the Gates Foundation, despite the tremendous work that that has done worldwide. So sometimes it's just better to ignore things because actually you're not going to make any difference. And by challenging it, correcting it, you're simply amplifying some of the nonsense that's coming out.
The first point that we see here is that you need to have accessibility to research. At the moment, all journals, or a lot of the journals, are based on subscriptions. If you want to read it, you have to subscribe to the journal. What we need is open access, which means the author pays for the research to be published, but the research is accessible to everyone at the moment it is being published. The second point I want to raise is the readability of the research. Researchers focus on methods, they focus on results, and then conclusions. But for policymakers, and usually a lot of other people as well, it is very difficult to understand what the methods mean, what the results exactly mean. So we need to provide a message which is clear for policymakers, which is clear for people reading the research. In our European Journal of Public Health, for instance, we ask authors to write up 2 to 3 key points. What are the lessons learned from the research? And that is a bite-sized format which can be used for policymakers. The members of EUPHA have free subscription to the European Journal of Public Health. We wanted to spread our research as widely as possible. With the shift to open access, this will change, and that means we have to rethink our membership benefits. So we're doing that in 2 ways. One is that we want to offer our members skills building exercises like webinars and e-learning on how to help the knowledge translation, how you go to evidence, from evidence to policy. The other point is that we offer our members a significant reduction in open access costs. And with those 2, we hope that we will keep our members very active in providing the evidence for policymakers.